This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of My Perspective and Comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, My Perspective and Comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Hello and welcome to My Perspective and Comments. Well, folks, a lot has been going on in the nation and around the world. I'd like to start out, though, right now in our state here in New York, and just talking about some of the things that we see prisoners being let out of jail in record numbers, and as they leave the prison, it's not long when you start seeing the crime rates going up, and this is happening nationwide, where they're emptying the jails and the crime rate is going sky high. And it seems like the left doesn't say, well, what's going on here? Why is the crime rate going up? Like they don't know what they've been doing over the last couple years, letting criminals out of prison. And again, we see this happening nationwide. Well, I'd like to talk about in New York. We have New York City is pushing to become the largest place in the country to grant non-citizens the right to vote. Yeah, you heard it, folks. Yeah, non-citizens voting in elections. Reported by Associated Press. The City Council is expected to ratify today, Thursday, a veto-proof margin to legalize these documented voting age residents the ability to cast ballots in elections for mayor, city council, and other municipal offices. So here we go. Rights being taken away from law-abiding residents, U.S. citizens, and our rights, U.S. citizens' rights, are being stripped away, and those coming in from other countries are benefiting. If you look at the southern border, we see another example of illegal aliens coming in and getting all the services, schooling, and nothing to say there. But now we see another example of non-citizens voting in elections. And it won't be long. And then you wonder why, we're seeing issues and problems on election integrity throughout the country. And again, folks, we need to get back to 2019 voting regulations and how we voted then. But because what took place on 2020 is a crime, and that needs to we need to get back to true election integrity and putting in safeguards to stop and curtail the voter fraud. I'd like to talk about what's taking place in Florida when it comes to some of the mandates. And a Florida-based hospital system ended the vaccine mandate that has been trying to get pushed nationwide. Now, this will affect about 83,000 employees after a federal court here this past week issued a preliminary injunction against the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, that mandate that was for healthcare workers. So now we see yet another court has stepped in and stopped this this edict from on high, the Biden administration, and what they're trying to mandate. Now, the name of the healthcare system is Advent Health which operates in 9 states, including Florida. So here we see a large hospital chain that is not. They've ended that mandate for their employees, and I believe you're going to see that continuing. More and more hospitals are going to start reversing direction and saying, wait a minute, we're already getting the signal from the courts that this isn't going to fly. And I think that that's why you're starting to see more and more people speaking up, more and more organizations saying, no, we're not pushing any mandates. And I think you're going to start, that's going to be over these next few weeks and months, I think that's going to increase. I'd like to talk about, we've talked about this on PJNET.TV here on My Perspective regarding the unfairness of men competing against women in college and in lower grades in high school, and the unfairness where you're having boys and men competing in women's sports. And we have another example here that took place. It was a competition in Ohio, and a person by the name of Leah Thompson swam against women in competition, three events, and by almost minutes defeating the women. Now this Thompson swam 3 seasons in the male division for 3 seasons, and then now switched over and is competing in the against the women. And you say, wait a minute, this isn't fair. Title IX is getting thrown right out the window. And there was an interview with a Chicago-based sports performance coach, Alinda Blade, and she commented on what was taking place, and she goes, she was saying that this Leah Thompson once again crushed records in 3 events. And well, of course, women's records were going to be crushed by this individual. And it's just not fair. It's not right what's happening here in the NCAA. And that sentiment has been echoed by many other women that are competing and looking for scholarships, and they're getting these men coming in and taking all the scholarships away. That is not why Title IX was came into being, that women were going to be pushed out of their own sport. And it is something that right now in this country we're seeing things getting tossed upside down, and there needs to be some changes. And but we know that there's a push. Supposedly you're a bigot if you say something different. But here we are seeing women getting discriminated against, and it needs to stop. I'd like to talk about, again, I had mentioned the several courts right now, federal courts have weighed in and said that no, this mandate, this Biden mandate trying to force shots, people are half forced to get the jab, or they're going to lose their jobs. Yet another court has stepped in. This time they were bringing yet another case piling on to stand up for federal contractors and the mandates that Biden was threatening. Well, nationwide, it's done. There's an injunction. All screeching halt. No more, Biden. It's nationwide. Now, does that mean it's over? No. I mean, what it said is the brakes are on. It most likely is going to go to the Supreme Court, and with as many court decisions, federal court decisions that have come on the side of no, this is not constitutional, it's going to be almost impossible for the Supreme Court to go against. If it was one federal court or two, yeah, that some of these weak-kneed justices might throw out common sense in their, but no, there's so many federal courts that have weighed in and said no, this is not constitutional, and I believe that the Supreme Court will, when it does go there, it's going to rule for no mandates. And I think you're seeing now, as I had mentioned earlier, this hospital system in Florida has already, kind of said, yeah, we see the writing on the wall, and no, we're not going to force our medical staff to get the jab. And I think what you're going to see is you've got some of these far blue leftist states that are still trying to go down this road. But I think you're going to see when the Supreme Court comes and rules in favor against the Biden mandate edicts, I think eventually they're going to they're going to change their tune also, because I think even those people in these blue states, there are millions of people that don't want to be forced to go against their conscience, and especially when you start hearing some of the concerns that are being brought up regarding side effects and things that are coming in when you look at the VAERS report and what they've been seeing, what you're actually seeing in other countries talking about the Moderna, Pfizer, and others that some of these countries have said, well, we don't want our kids of a certain age to be getting this one or that one. So there are some concerns being brought by other countries that they're saying, no, we're not going to vaccinate this selection of like kids or a certain age group. So, but you're not hearing that in the mainstream media. You're not hearing some of the reports. But if you take a look at VAERS, and basically that's the vaccine adverse reaction website that they keep tally and reports on all vaccines, not just COVID, but all the vaccines that have come out and have gone through trials, and to report on the effects on some of these vaccines. And they do have a lot of information and a lot of things to share when it comes to what's been taking place with adverse reactions. And I'm going to leave it there, because we're on a censorship platform when it comes to YouTube, and we've got the so-called medical professionals that are looking to delete anything that goes against their narrative and their push, even when it comes from reporting agencies that are there for the public, and to bring information that's being collected so that people can be informed. And that's what's been missing throughout this whole process, is that parents and adults and the residents around the globe, are they really getting informed information? Are they getting the accurate information and data and the effects that these vaccines in the rollout? And there's been a lot of when we start talking about clinical trials, the FDA had went through this process of a clinical trial, and there's a lot of information that's starting to come out about how that information was disseminated, and was that information all collected, and were there any studies or any individuals that were missed when it came to that report? But we'll talk about that on a free speech video platform on Rumble, to get into the specifics on what VARS has reported, and what some of these other medical agencies around the globe have been reporting on these COVID-19 vaccines. So we'll get into some more detail over on that free speech video platform. What I'd like to talk about right now is keeping in line with the COVID right now, or continuing to discuss on a little bit further. The FDA this past week has said that, well, we may, I think we should probably, it's going to be like 75 years before we really share what the COVID-19, the data, the Pfizer data regarding COVID-19 and these vaccines. And I say to myself, what? Why 75 years? And I'm just going to pose this question to you folks. Why is it going to take 75 years? Or why is the FDA saying, well, we don't want any Pfizer information coming out, on these vaccines until 75 years from now? Just throwing out a question. Why? Now, I may be sharing that on the free speech video platform, on the why of that they want, that the FDA wants to put in 75 years before any COVID data gets shared by Pfizer. I'd like to talk again this recent Omicron strain variant that has come out. We heard Fauci and a lot of these people, state of New York, state of emergency, we got this vaccine, look out, run for your life. Well, right now it looks like if they had listened to the South African doctor who has been treating this, been in the front lines when it first hit South Africa, she has said that this has been a mild strain. Yes, it's infectious, very infectious, but the symptoms and the severity is not. It's a nothing, and so that's what it appears right now. Infectious. It's spreading fast, but it's not like the Delta. So that should be good news. But Fauci, well, I'm not sure if he's he's been crying the sky's falling for almost 2 years now. So, why change now? But it looks like all indications are that Omicron is infectious, spreading, but it's not lethal. And that should be good news, because now you can get this, and it will spread through. But there again, a way to get immunity. And from what I'm hearing, and the indications are, it's almost looking like a bad cold. So there's that. The Omicron was, we had people, Kathy Hochul wanting to, state of emergency before she even knew, well, she did know. She got some indications from this South African doctor who had been treating this and saying, no, I mean, the patients, they're like, it's like a good cold. So there's that. When it comes to COVID-19, this could be good news. Omicron, yes, infectious, but it's falling in line with what you would expect. Yes, it's infectious, but it's not as lethal as the Delta. So again, we'll get into some more information there on the free speech video platform. What I'd like to talk about right now is we've got a video coming up here with Tucker Carlson, and I don't know if you've been following any of the things that you may have seen on TV, but we're starting to hear bipartisan concern about Putin and Russia and Ukraine, and we're starting to get these the hawks on the right joining some of these Biden supporters who Biden saying, well, we've got to be concerned here, and we may have to go to war or send troops to Ukraine. I want to say, when President Trump, when he was president, he didn't get us into wars. He was a strong president. Putin and Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un knew what President said. He wasn't just playing games, and he didn't have his head in the sand. And they do know that this president here, Biden, he can be walked on. And so and he's a puppet. And now we see a bipartisan push that we might need to send troops into Ukraine, and we've got the right wing saying, oh yeah, well, we had one senator here saying, well, it might be a nuclear war. And we had Joni Ernst here, Iowa, talking about, that we may need to be more aggressive in sending troops in. Again, the hawks are coming out of the woodwork, and here we are. We heard, for 4 years when President Trump was in office, oh, he's a wild card. He's going to get us into all these wars, and yet and still now we got this weak president and some of the lapdog the rhinos that seem to want to go to war. President Trump kept us out of war because he was a strong president, and he knew how to get the allies, especially when you see what took place in Israel, when Arab nations embraced that accord and warming to Israel and joining alliances with Israel, because they knew who the real enemies were. And, but Vladimir Putin, I heard, I mentioned Joni Ernst, and she had the nerve to say, yeah, and what do we have going here? We've got Vladimir Putin with his pipeline going to Europe. We can't have that. And, you want to step back and say, hey, Joni, what did Biden do with the XL pipeline? President Trump was all set. We were energy independent, and we were selling our fuel to other countries, and we would have been able to take care of Europe. But no, Biden cancels the XL pipeline, and what do you think? Vladimir Putin's just going to sit on his hands and say, here's an opportunity. He just took it. Biden gave it to him. But here you got Joni Ernst, Republican, talking about the Vladimir Putin and Russia's pipeline. Well, there wouldn't have been a pipeline going to Europe if Biden hadn't have given it away. So, again, we see the bipartisan right and left trying to, rattle the war sabers. Again, when you have a weak president, you've got these other the power vacuums being filled, and we're seeing the rhetoric being ratcheted up. I'd like to I've got a video coming up here with Tucker Carlson talking about this very subject in the warmongers, and President Trump kept us out of war, but yet and still now we've got this weak president, and it looks like he's quite open to be pushed around, and he's a puppet anyway, and we have his own party wheeling him around here and there, and now we've got the right joining in to possible more conflicts around the world, getting us into areas that our blood and treasure are exposed. And we've already seen what took place in Afghanistan. And under this weak president, we don't need to get in any more conflicts, because he doesn't know, he doesn't know in any given day what's going on. And we have other people that are actually making the decisions. It seems obvious that that's the case. So Tucker is going to be sharing a little bit more on what's taking place here in this bipartisan power play that appears to be taking place. So here, take a look here, Tucker Carlson discussing that.